honorable member for Sabach Sanjal.
Great. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me begin by thanking everybody and recognizing the presence of the media and everybody here. I also want to register my sincere appreciation to the efforts of the CRC. They have taken a daunting task to come up with such a constitution. Madam Speaker, however, I will just state as some other people have stated, but I have series of concerns about this constitution. I may not exhaust all what I want to say or all what I observe, but I will select few among them, and I would like some clarification on them by the Honorable Attorney General, and there I will draw the curtain. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, I want to talk about the separation of power. The essence of democracy is the principle of separation of power and good governance. And I think we are all dreaming that fundamental system. Madam Speaker, when I look at the draft, I don't see any power being separated from the different arms of the government. I can even say there is one arm of the government which is more powerful than the rest of the others. Madam Speaker, to me, this is not justice, and it will not give us good governance. I will specifically mention the National Assembly, being the legislature, has been given tremendous powers, which I think is going far beyond their boundaries. Madam Speaker, for the sake of separation of powers again, Parliament have the mandate to enact laws, perform oversight, and many other things. Now, looking at the draft, the Parliament is mandated to engage in the activities of the executive, to engage in the activities of the judiciary, and there is no organ of government who has hand in the Parliament. What type of separation of power is that? So I am really doubt if we go by this, we are inculcating or we are bringing a dictator parliament. Today I am a National Assembly member, but tomorrow who knows whether I will be. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I strongly, in the most strongest term, condemn National Assembly participating in the affairs of the executive. And I don't want to go into detail, but these are found in the Constitution, in the draft, and because of that, I am really down. Honorable Speaker, the other arm, which is also given a tremendous power, is the judiciary. If you look at the judiciary, they are equal as all other public, officers. Of course, they are independent body. By the nature of their function, their job, actually, the way they operate should be different from other organs. But the state should treat all officers equally, especially in terms of retirement, in terms of remuneration, and many other things. So, Madam Speaker, what I saw, or what I see in the draft, the judiciary is given a power or given, I don't know how would I even describe this. Because looking at their retirement benefits, you'll see that as a judge of a superior court or a high court judge, upon retirement, will be paid the salary that he retired continuously, plus his gratuity and other benefits. And this does not apply to any other public officer in the country. And Madam Speaker, the 1997 Constitution denied this Parliament to make a law or to enact a law that will separate or that will discriminate the public officers. That is one fundamental thing I want to mention. Madam Speaker, going away from separation of power, Madam Speaker, I have another concern regarding the civil service again. And that is in section 27. Section 27 of the draft. Madam Speaker, no public officer should engage into any gainful employment if you are employed by the state. Madam Speaker, that law, I cannot subscribe to that. I have to make that clear. Because if you look at the Gambia, even the University of the Gambia, a good chunk of the lecturers there are part-time lecturers. They are employed somewhere and they took another employment there. Now, if we deny these people to do that, how is our university going to function? Now, if you go to the Gambia College, the same thing. Our teachers, because we have a low economy, the government cannot pay them the right salaries. So they also go for another schools, the private schools, so that they can sustain themselves. Now, if you deny these people that right to go and look for another gainful employment, how are you going to maintain them? Whatever I am saying here is based on my concern and the research I make on this document. I have facts to explain all those things. Madam Speaker, there is a concern to me, and I don't think this is really a progressive provision. It is alleged that the 1997 Constitution was amended for 52 times, but this Constitution as drafted, if we let it pass, Madam Speaker, I can tell you it will go for more than 100 amendments. Because there is nobody who can govern a country under this constitution. You have a peaceful country. That is the fact. Madam Speaker, if you look at the media, over the past 2 days, they are calling members, they are talking a lot of things. If you look at Facebook, a lot of insults. And people are doing this because out of ignorance, and they are misled, they are misinformed. Some of them don't even have a copy of this draft, and they are saying a lot of things about the draft. I think National Assembly members should be left to do their work diligently and in a very independent manner. Being a member of a particular institution or an interest group does not concern me. My concern is the entire Gambia. So based on those facts, Madam Speaker, I will faithfully act on behalf of the Gambians for the best interest of the Gambia, not a specific group. Now, Madam Speaker, allow me to continue from there. If you look at section 37, that provision also is inconsistent with the ICCPR, in which Gambia is a party to. Gambia is a party to that treaty, and that provision is completely inconsistent with that document. Madam Speaker, I think this needs to be looked at. Madam Speaker, if I can go further, I will touch on the armed forces. The armed forces, Madam Speaker, in the 1997 Constitution, I don't want to go into detail, but I just want to bring comparison so that you can also do the same thing and see what I am talking about. Their mandates are explicitly explained and their responsibilities in the 1997 Constitution. But if you go to the draft, less is being talked about the armed forces. The draft is just saying the Parliament will further do those things. Madam Speaker, I think this constitution is the document that should set the framework, the principle of how this country should be governed. But everything should not be left in the hands of the parliament. I'm not saying that this is a regulation, but merely in certain terms, you can denote that. Madam Speaker, if I go to the section 10, section what? In the draft constitution, section 10, where the laws of the Gambia is not enshrined. And in the 1997 constitution, we have those laws protected so that you cannot affect them, you cannot touch them unless and until it goes to referendum. It's not entering, yes. So, which is giving a room for any manipulation on this constitution by anybody who have a semi-dictatorial behavior. So therefore, Madam Speaker, we should be very careful the way we enact our laws, and we should be very careful the way we pass this law. I think explicitly in that, under that section 10, where the Sharia law is, it creates a large outcry of public concern. And I think, Madam Speaker, if we should do justice, we should try to look into that, to see how possible we can entrench that clause. Madam Speaker, removal of the president is another issue that I observe. To me, there are two stages, but I think the first stage should have carried more magnitude or more powers than the rest of the stages. Because if you elect a particular president, to substantiate that should carry at least a heavy weight. And if I compare this with the judiciary, removing a high court judge, Madam Speaker, it's just crazy. Somebody who is elected by the general public and the person appoints somebody, it's easier to remove the person elected by the general public than removing the person, that man appointed. Madam Speaker, is that justice? Madam Speaker, this is why the public should know what is embedded in this constitution before they claim anything or before they talk to anybody. I receive some insult from people, and they are subjecting me to approve what they don't know. Another point, Madam Speaker, if you look at 1997 section 101, it's denying anybody to condition a particular National Assembly member to do anything out of his consent, his or her consent. It's a contempt. And people were doing it over the last 2 days. Up to the extent of even threatening you, telling you that if you don't do it next time, we'll campaign against you. Madam Speaker, I want to believe that the process of this bill is being fully politicized. Madam Speaker, on citizenship, it's very important on citizenship, Madam Speaker. I tend to laugh because when I take a look at the CRC report on page 53, I refer to that page. Consultations were done, especially outside the Gambia, and some views were captured and rated in percentage terms. But the CRC failed to come up with a clause to direct the parliament as to what to do, but to just tell them that parliament, it needs to be reconsidered because parliament will see how best they can rule on these citizens' issues. There is this specific group who are claiming to be a citizen of the Gambia, that's the descendant of the slaves. Those people, in history, the West, the Arab, and other civilizations came to Africa here to scramble for human beings. They took our people, our grandparents, and enslaved them. Now children and grandchildren of those people look into their history and identify that some of them, they are part of the Gambia. Their grandparents were from the Gambia. And these people want to come back to the Gambia as a citizen. But this document is still not giving them that liberty. Despite they approached them, consulted them, and 70-something submissions were given to the CRC, but none of those submissions, none of them were captured in the report, neither in the report nor in the draft. Madam Speaker, this is really serious because we are not building a single institution, we are building a country. And I think we should not build a country where in 2-3 days or 2-3 months' time, you will see catastrophe. I think if we are to be honest to ourselves, many Gambians leave this Gambia, go to other European countries, and they are guaranteed citizenship. So why Gambia is denying other people who choose to be Gambians? And they were taken here, their parents were taken here forcefully. And we are saying we don't have time for them. Madam Speaker, in these days of the world, we are talking of global village. So I don't think that is a genuine cause. Madam Speaker, I'm sorry for the statement, the term I used, but I am not happy with that. And I think we should also relook at that. Madam Speaker, as I said earlier, I cannot finish it, but I want to also mention the appointment of judges. In the appointment of judges, you have the Judiciary Service Commission, who is doing all the screening, and through that process, they identify for the president to appoint. Now, why subjecting those people to another level of scrutiny? By bringing them to the National Assembly. If we do that, Madam Speaker, we are politicizing our judiciary. Because I am a politician, and if somebody wants to go for that position and is not shortlisted, Madam Speaker, if I have any power, I will make sure that person is appointed. So those are the dangers in Parliament interfering into such things. So, Madam Speaker, I think let us advise ourselves very well. Although we want to have a third republic, it's not a constitution, because when I came to this Parliament, some of the statements I heard about the 1997 constitution was, it is among the best constitutions in the sub-region. But it was amended for this number of times to suit somebody's interest. For me, it wouldn't even require us to go for a new constitution. But at that time, we are so ambiguous to have to usher to a third republic. That is the main factor, that is the main objective. That's why we go for, a new constitution. But I was not expecting a constitution that will bring discrimination among its citizens, that will bring chaos in the governance of the country, that will bring even ungovernable situation. Because a country has to be governed by principle based on respect and mutual understanding. In my conclusion, Madam Speaker, I want to also say the CRC, in one way or the other, has ignored some of the proposals made by the people, and even myself, and I will quote it. And I will give reference to even some people who were there and they attacked me on that. I can fully remember. Madam Speaker, if you go to transitional clauses, Schedule 3, Section 5 is talking about the term of the president, which is another problem that is undermining the progress of this constitution. Madam, let us remind ourselves that we are just a chunk from the population. And those people there are the people who should reflect on our actions, on whatever we do here. Now, if a provision, we are in a transitional period, we should reconcile. I was not expecting such a provision that would bring disintegration that will bring misunderstanding in the Gambia. For the sake of reconciliation, we should have avoided such provision in this draft. Because the concept of the coalition, we all see what they conceptualized when they came to the people and what happened. So that purpose was completely defeated. Now, you think about that, you bring another provision that would bring a more, tension situation. I'm really surprised, and I don't want to say it, but definitely, Madam Speaker, I was not expecting such provision in the Constitution. When you have a right, when you are given right by a Constitution, if you want to relinquish that right, or if that right want to be seized from you, those people should console you on that right. I don't know whether they did it. If they consult the President on that, I don't see it in the report and I don't see it in the draft. And I believe, as people who respect fundamental human rights, they should consult the President about that and know his position. If he is ready to sacrifice, that's well and good. We'll have peaceful and smooth transition. If he is insisting that that is his right and he wants to use his right, we know how, that will inform us how to do the next thing, how to go about the next thing. But, Madam Speaker, how can you just sit there and decide on somebody's right? And this Constitution is also denying us to do that. And remember, we are promulgating this Constitution by using this one. And I took oath when I came here in the first day that I will defend this Constitution without fear or favor. So I cannot denounce my oath. I cannot go against what I oath, but I took oath. So that is another fundamental thing, Madam Speaker, that I wanted to highlight. Madam Speaker, still now, sorry, okay, let me just say this. My position on what I said earlier about this provision, I don't see it in the transitional clause because the Constitution is advocating for general election where the National Assembly and presidential election will be held on the same day. Madam Speaker, when this proposal came from the IEC, some of us, I specifically, I said, I have no problem in that, but you have to tell me my rights, how will I get them? Now, in doing that, my time will be sort of 4 months. And what will you do about that 4 months? I also give them scenario. If that is difficult, why not you extend the presidential term for 4 months? And I said, if you extend the presidential term for 4 months, will you not pay the president for 4 months? Will you not pay the president that 4 months? And the Constitution gives us that mandate. They can do that. They could have done that. So, and the response was, this term, when we do that, this term will be seen to be as a full term. It will be, understand, we serve 2 terms. But I further ask, my remuneration, that is my salary, my allowances and other benefits, how would I get that? And that is not responded to. And when I say that, I don't want to, I'm not, I will quote him. Mr. Gayso and our Senior Sabali told me, why are you so interested to get that? So those are some of the comments I can still remember. But I said, it is my right. And if you want to take my right, I think I should be consulted on that, and you take my consent on my right. So, fundamentally, Madam Speaker, we give the CRC the mandate, the mandate to do in the CRC Act, Section 6. This Parliament enacted the CRC, and give them all the mandates that they're supposed to do, and they did it. But in the process, Madam Speaker, some people or some rights are not, respected. And that is why we are having this problem about this Constitution. So, as others have said earlier, if the Honorable Justice Minister Attorney General can clearly clarify our doubts, or my doubts specifically, on those issues, Madam Speaker, I don't mind to support this. But without that, Madam Speaker, if I am not convinced, to me and to my people, because I consulted them, and they gave me points, they gave me what I should do and what I should not do. However, among the people I consulted in my constituency, I can count three views that are not in the order or that are different, three different views. But the rest of the views are speaking the same language. And as they send me here, they are listening to me. Whatever I say and whatever I do, I should reflect on them. So, Madam Speaker, I respectfully submit that let us rethink and look at this document carefully, and let us not be very ambiguous, especially in a political way. This is not about politics, it is about our country, and we want to have a document that will serve, that will test the period of time. We don't want to have a constitution where in the next 2 years it will be subjected to a lot of amendments. Madam Speaker, this is a concern, and with those submissions, I respectfully take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member.